Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode, week number 4 of the Dorton and Duckett Debate Podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. As always, I am joined by Nick Duckett. We don't have back-to-back podcasts, so you don't have to worry about load managing too much, hopefully for the rest of the season. But how's it
I'm
going?
well rested.
That's good. Yeah, for those of you probably wondering, we obviously missed a show last week. I was out in Minnesota, and you would think, well, perfect opportunity. You get both of them together to try and make a podcast, and normally you'd be right, but I forgot my laptop, so we didn't record. So we both had a bye. We had a bye last week, um, but there's a lot to talk about. I mean, we missed a lot. We
We had
missed.
our buys. That means we need to go like 13 weeks without one, right?
See,
17-week season if we're going by NFL.
yeah, we kind of got screwed with our bye. Got it way too early in the season.
That's all right. They don't have to hear any wrong football picks from me
Yeah, that's true. I guess you could take a week off from getting those picks wrong.
then. Well, I
Awesome.
would have picked the Patriots, so I know that one was wrong.
Yeah, well, true. We all know how that one's been going for you. Okay, so we're going to start with some NFL talk. It's getting towards the end of the NFL season. So that means it's probably a pretty good time to start making some predictions. So, without further ado, the most coveted position, or sorry, award in the NFL, the MVP. So, Mr. Duckett, who do you got as your MVP?
I got Lamar. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think it was really close between Lamar and Wilson, but as of now, I got Lamar, and I think he's pulling ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I don't think there's really much of a debate behind this one. You can throw other names out there, but at the end of the day, just what Lamar's doing on, with running the ball, and then obviously, I mean, the guy's got a great arm. Like that's a lot of thing that
Yeah,
a lot of things that people don't see is like, yeah, he has a lot of games where like he might be pretty equivalent with his rushing yards total to his passing yards total, but like
yeah,
watching him play, it's just like it's effort. It's almost like watching Aaron Rodgers throw a deep ball.
yeah.
He doesn't like have to put a lot into it. It's just like he just kind of flings it up there and it works.
I mean, like you mentioned his throwing ability. I heard, I think it was on Twitter, someone said, like, oh, he has one 300-yard game this year, so he's now my MVP. Well, first off, he doesn't need that many passing yards because they're always killing everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
he's getting 100, 60, 70, 80 rush yards a game.
Yeah.
So that's pass yards you don't need because he's just running for it. And his passing efficiency is good, and that's what really matters. I mean, he's throwing 66.2% completion percentage. I mean, that's pretty good. Yeah, he might not be like the greatest thrower of the football in the league, but he's plenty good, and he's clearly the best running quarterback in the league, maybe ever. He just broke Vic's record. So
Yeah, and that's high praises considering this is his first, I guess, full season in the league.
yeah,
It's a season and a half or some season and some change that he's been playing. But I mean, I think you could make that argument for sure.
oh yeah. This will be if he wins this. I just realized this will be the second year in a row where not a rookie quarterback, but a second-year quarterback wins it. And
Yeah.
Mahomes last year was his first year starting, was it not?
Yeah, it was because he had started like week 16 or 17
Yeah.
of the year before, and then
And
yeah,
Jackson, I mean, I guess technically started some games last year, but it was only like the last third of the season. So this is his first full year starting too. So there's some young, really good quarterbacks out there, which is really nice.
I think the NFL's in a really good place. So I do got to say
Oh
that.
yeah,
Looking on for the future, I mean, that's always like a big worry in sports. When you have like the big name guys like who've
yeah,
been just dominating the game, and then like they're getting close to retirement. It's like, oh well, then you have 5 or 6 other people who's going to be exciting to watch for the next 15 years.
yeah. Like Brady and Rodgers are starting to go down, but now you got we thought Mahomes would be the guy talked about for the next 5 years. Well, Lamar Jackson's already overtook him this year, and you still got Watson and all them guys. Like they got
Yeah.
plenty. It's really good.
Well, now we can move on to our offensive rookie of the year. Who'd you get for this one?
This is close. I think in my opinion, it's between Josh Jacobs and Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Josh Jacobs. Um, he's got 1,061 rush yards, 7 rush touchdowns. He does. The odd thing is he's only got 146 receiving yards, which
Hmm.
is odd because in college, that's all he pretty much did was he was a receiving running back. But
Right.
that's all according to Pro Football Reference, by the way, so it's correct.
Obviously.
um, uh, and I think he missed last week, so he's played 12 games, and the Raiders are actually like decent this year, like they're average-ish, and it's all because of him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyler Murray's done good this year. He's got 3,060 pass yards, 16 touchdowns. He's been pretty good, considering a lot of rookie quarterbacks haven't looked good recently. But I would say Josh Jacobs.
I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs, too. I think the only way that I would have put Kyler Murray ahead of Josh Jacobs if the Cardinals were doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of that, Murray, you can't control a lot of that. I mean, he's got an absolutely terrible offensive line. The defense is not the best. Larry Fitzgerald's about the big name guy over there. I guess I have my boy Kenyon Drake now. But I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs too. But like I said, if the Cardinals were doing better, I think I would have given it to Kyler Murray, just for what he can do on both sides of the ball.
I will say I think both are deserving. I mean, yeah, like you said, both sides of the ball. I mean, Kyler Murray's got 448 rush yards, so he can do both pass and rush.
Yeah,
he can run it and pass it. But I think it's close, and I'd be okay with either winning. But I think Josh Jacobs deserves.
This is another thing that I was just kind of thinking about too. Is like, remember how much hype there was behind Kyler Murray, like coming into the year, is like, oh, #1 overall pick, he ain't playing baseball. Just he's gonna change the league, and like, I don't know about you, but I have not heard nearly as much about him as like other guys. And obviously I'm sure that kind of attributes to the season that they're having.
Yeah.
But like, I have not heard a lot from him.
It's now that you mention that, I mean, I thought that a little bit too, but yeah, also he's in the NFC West, which is like the best division in football, so you'd be seeing a lot of him because they're playing the Niners and Seahawks and whatnot. And yeah, he's really not been talked about as much as I would have thought, which is surprising. I mean, I've been following him all year because he's on fantasy, but
Sure.
They really haven't talked about him much, and it is kind of strange.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, like I think he's getting his due credit when he's playing well, and he's been having pretty average to solid games. I mean, I don't think he's been absolutely terrible for a certain part of the season, but it's just, I mean, how the team's playing, you're obviously not going to talk about him as much.
Well, he did good against the San Fran's one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he's played them twice, and he did pretty decent against them both times. I mean, so he's done a good job. He definitely, I'd say he's lived up to #1 so far.
Oh, for sure. Defensive rookie of the year.
Huh?
Well, if you had a point there, go ahead.
No, we're good. Defensive rookie of the year, I think Nick Bosa is like, I mean, he's pretty much the one option that comes to mind. I mean, I think it's Bosa. I mean, he's on. I mean, I think part of it, he's on the best defense in football, so he's going to get recognized more. But I do think he's deserving. I mean, he's got 8 sacks. He had that one. He's got 1 interception. I don't know if you remember. It was like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was just insane how he did that. That was awesome.
That was reflex.
He's got 38 combined tackles, 8 sacks. I mean, I think. I don't know if he's a runaway, but to me, he's just the best option, clearly.
I do too. And there's some other guys that have played pretty well, but I think for the most part, I mean, Nick Bosa has just absolutely just destroyed anyone he's gone up against. So pretty easy, no-brainer one.
I would say Devin Bush for the Steelers is another contender, and he plays for real good defense too. But I think Bosa probably would have. I would take Bosa if it were up to me right now.
Now, this next one is a little bit tough. I've kind of struggled on this one, and I don't know if I'm 100% set on my pick, but Coach of the Year.
There's so many candidates this year. There's like 4 or 5 teams with double-digit wins already.
Yeah.
I would say – now, here's the thing. I haven't talked about Tomlin on this podcast yet, but over the last how many years – I have said Mike Tomlin, as well as Mike McCarthy, who finally got canned, should have been done 5 years ago. And I still hold true to the fact that Mike Tomlin should have been fired 5 years ago. To me, just because you win 1 Super Bowl doesn't mean you should be able to stick around for another 8 years. Because in my opinion, he's underperformed with the talents he's had. However, I will say I do think he should get it this year. He's done a great job this year.
I'm actually kind of surprised because I also had Tomlin too. I thought for
Really,
sure this is the one that we were going to have two different people on.
I think if I didn't pick Tomlin, I'd pick another coach in that division, and I'd pick Harbaugh, just because
Mm.
I know a lot of it's Lamar Jackson, the reason they're doing so good. But I've always thought Harbaugh was a good coach, and that defense wasn't very good at the beginning of the year, and they're really good now. So he clearly seen, our offense. Yeah, we got to work on the defense. They fixed that up. And besides Jackson, I mean, it's not like that's the most talented team in football, and they're
Right.
really, really good. But
I'm,
considering the Steelers are on their pretty much fourth string quarterback, I'm going with Tomlin.
I'm going to go with Tomlin too. I'm going to put a disclaimer though. I will choose Tomlin if they make the playoffs.
All right.
If they don't
I'm
make
good
the
with that.
playoffs, I don't think you could give it to them.
Who do you think you'd go with then?
Well, see, then after that, that's for me when it gets real. I mean, you could go with Shanahan from the 49ers, Harbaugh, the job that Vrabel's done in Tennessee with Tannehill pretty much having a phenomenal season. Yeah. I mean, McDermott with the Bills. I mean, there's so many coaches that you could, I mean, even the big ones, the Bill Belichick's, Pete Carroll. I mean, Mike Zimmer, you could probably make a little bit of an argument for him if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I
will say Mitchell's pick here. I'll say it for him, but he says he's going with John Harbaugh because of his willingness to change the offense to fit to Lamar, which that's a very good point because there's not many quarterbacks like him out there, and that offense is meshing so well, and it's a hard thing to accomplish.
And for those of you who are wondering, that's one of Nick's buddies, Mitchell Matthews, who is likes to roast Nick a lot of times that he can. I've only met him one time, but it was definitely
the best fantasy football player in the land. That's Mitchell.
Well, until it gets to the playoffs, so
this year, anyways. Yeah.
Hey, I can't complain too much. I didn't even make the playoffs, so I guess I can't talk too much there. No, yeah, I mean that's a good one. I mean Harbaugh, you can definitely make a strong argument for him too. But I think if Tomlin doesn't make the playoffs, I'm gonna have to go. I think I'm gonna have to go with Shanahan for me for the 49ers.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, with the job that he's done with Jimmy Garoppolo and this, I mean George Kittle looks absolutely amazing. That defense is unbelievable. I'm gonna have to go with him.
Man, if that defense is young too.
Yeah, that's what's scary. That's the scary part.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Defensive player of the year. Who do you got for this one?
This for me is definitely the hardest. I have not. I definitely think I could change this within the next 3 weeks because I think it's really close.
Yep.
The problem is, I think a lot of times, defensive player of the year, it goes to a D end or a D tackle because you see the sack numbers because numbers. You look at numbers and a lot of people just base it off that. Well, like for instance, like safeties and middle linebackers, it's so hard to base it off numbers, and that's the guys I mainly have. I think it should be between Jamal Adams, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Personally, I think Eric Kendricks for my Vikings has had a spectacular year, and then Shaquille Barrett for the Buccaneers, and then Stephon Gilmore. That's the five. Me personally, I was gonna say Jamal Adams because I honestly that guy's in his second year, and I think he might be one of the best defenders in all football. Yeah. But I'm going to go with Stephon Gilmore. For the first, 8, 9, 10 weeks of the year, the Patriots were clearly the best defense in football, and he's the best defender by far on that team. For weeks, they barely even threw it in his direction because you just can't. He's like what Revis was 7 or 8 years ago. He's got 4 interceptions on the year. He's got 42 tackles, which ain't bad. 80 targets, 40 completions. I mean, that's not I've definitely seen numbers better than that for cornerbacks, but he's only allowed 417 yards all year. I don't know. I'm giving it to Gilmore.
Man, I was hoping we're going to have some debate here at some point, but that's
you really
got him too? Again. I also went with Gilmore too. Wow. I agree. I agree with you for the same reason. I mean, when the Patriots defense was one of the best in the league, early on, and I guess up until they've actually played decent teams. Gilmore has been playing an absolute amazing job at cornerback. And like you mentioned, and you're going to have your games every once in a while where you're just going to get matched up and you're going to get burnt a little bit. But the majority of the games that he's been playing in, it's just been lockdown defense, no fly zone. Minkah Fitzpatrick, for me, I think you can make an extremely strong argument for that. when
He leads the league in picks.
he does, and that's kind of crazy to think that he switched teams. What was it? 3 weeks into the season, I'm pretty
It was
sure.
real early, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, interceptions, touchdown returns. I mean, the guy is a ball hawk out there, hits hard. I mean, in my opinion, you can make maybe a little bit of an argument for TJ Watt too. Or yeah, there's like
Yeah, and I know
75 Watts in the league, so I'm
I've
trying to remember
I've
which one's on.
I've heard his name get thrown around too. They say two Steelers,
Yeah.
Watt and Fitzpatrick.
Uh,
Watt's got good stats. I mean, to me, he's not quite there with these guys, but
right.
I've heard Watt's name thrown around.
I just have to say though, I think when Pittsburgh acquired Minka Fitzpatrick is kind of when the team started to turn around. Like the defense started playing like that, that hard hitting, tough nosed defense that everyone is so used to when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers team. And Minka Fitzpatrick definitely fit in well there. But like you said, that one is a really tough one. I think he could go a couple different routes, but I'm also going to go with Gilmore.
And like I said, within these next 3 weeks could definitely change my mind.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Really close.
I agree 100%. Who do you got for Offensive Player of the Year?
I think you gotta go. Well, I was gonna say you gotta go Christian McCaffrey, but Michael Thomas had a sensational year too, and then obviously there's the MVP front runner Lamar Jackson. I'm also not decided on this one yet, but I'm gonna lean McCaffrey for now. I mean, the numbers he's putting up, and considering it's pretty much just him, I think it's just insane what he's doing. And he's staying healthy. That you got to stay healthy to win. I'm going with McCaffrey.
I'm also going with McCaffrey. So I guess we're not going to have any controversies here.
This is just two minds think alike. That's what this is, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm going to go with McCaffrey too. I mean, the guy's absolutely electric. I mean, there's so many things that he can do that a lot of guys at his position only dream of doing or want to do, and it's pretty amazing to what he has been doing. Now, this is my next question for you, and this is something I've always kind of wondered. The MVP more than likely is always going to go to an offensive player, and probably more specifically a quarterback. You're not really ever going to see a wide receiver or like a DN win a MVP award. So
very rare.
With the MVP award, which is pretty much essentially in not written in terms, but it's pretty much the best offensive player.
And 80% of the time a quarterback.
Most of the time. And so I feel if your MVP is an offensive player, then why would that player not also be the offensive player of the year?
I'm actually glad you bring that up because I remember this was way, way back. But I believe Peyton Manning won his like 4th or 5th MVP. 4 I think he's got. And Drew Brees got Offensive Player of the Year. I'm like, well, what is one quarterback at MVP and then a different quarterback as Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's weird. To me, it was always Offensive Player of the Year is just kind of the non-quarterback offensive player. It seems like that gets it a lot. So I think it's almost like I feel like they just made up the award so the non-quarterback can get the award. And that's why personally I guess it depends how you look at it. You could easily just give the MVP the OPOY too, but
yeah,
I normally just say whoever's had the best offensive year that's not a quarterback is normally what I do.
That's a good mindset to have for sure. I've kind of always looked at it as like the consolation prize to the MVP. Like you have the MVP, Lamar Jackson, and then like the consolation would be like the next best guy, whether that's a quarterback or a wide receiver or running back, whatever it may be. But it's just something I've always kind of wondered. I feel if the MVP award goes to the best player, who more than likely is going to be an offensive player, then why aren't they not the offensive player of the year too? But I do agree. I'm okay with giving the award to someone else too to see who can get what. But
it's kind of like 2 years ago, the Rams got Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Offensive Player of the Year because the Offensive Player of the Year was Gurley. He didn't get MVP that year, but he had an amazing year as a running back, so he got Offensive Player of the Year. So I think a lot of times they just it's kind of like a consolation, like you said. And I don't think it's supposed to be, but honestly, with as big of a deal as fantasy football is nowadays, it seems like a lot of times they just give it to like whoever's put up these insane numbers and scored a lot of points. Like Christian McCaffrey is by far going to score the most fantasy points this year. and
Mm-hmm.
he's probably going to get Offensive Player of the Year.
Just
So
rip
I
for
know
anyone to pick
that's not what
Saquon
it's supposed
Barkley.
to be, but it seems like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thought I thought about. See what your take was on that. We can move on to some more football talk, though. Cleveland Browns. I mean, you talk about a disappointing team. That right there is probably the definite. If you're looking in the Webster's dictionary and the word is disappointment, there probably is going to be a picture of the Cleveland Browns roster this season because it's just, I guess you can make an argument which for our next topic about the Dallas Cowboys being that too. But like Cleveland had so much high. I mean, I have not seen a team have as much hype as the Cleveland Browns did going into this season. So what's going on? Like what's the problem with them?
Well, I'll say personally, I thought they were going to go above. I picked them to win the division this year, so I mean, I wasn't going along with like Super Bowl hype, but I did think they would be good as well. I think the main thing is Mayfield's underperformed. And I'm not trying to like pick on Mayfield. Like I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people say he is. He
Yeah.
just right now is turning the ball over way too much, which is typical from young guys. But I think the main thing is he's underperformed. And then everybody thought Odell Beckham Jr. was just going to be this, same guy as he was with the Giants and just put up crazy numbers. And he just, for whatever reason, they can't figure out how to work them into their offense. So I think the main thing is just disruption offensively. It's like they can't figure out what plays to call or whose number to call. So I think a lot of it falls on Freddie Kitchens as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they're expected to be one of the best offense teams in football, and like they just aren't. And Nick Chubb's having a heck of a year, and it's not even mattering,
Yeah.
So
That's just I mean, for me it's just baffling. I mean, if you're creating a franchise on Madden NFL whatever and you just like are trying to like take the salary cap off and the forced trades and just put guys on a team, I think it would be very equivalent to the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. You got Kareem Hunt there. You got Nick Chubb there, and Njoku has kind of been hurt this season, but I think is a solid tight end. You got him there, and like the defense also is not too bad as well. You got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, I'm Joe Schobert's having a great year too. But it's just like I feel it's one of those things where it's got to come down to the coaching. Like when the Browns got Freddie Kitchens, I just was not like honestly I didn't know much about him. Number one, I had barely even heard of him. I'm going to be honest. I don't even think I ever had heard of him, and I feel they should have tried to go elsewhere. I think if they should have went another route. In my opinion, I think someone that would have been a great fit there, and it's kind of risky bringing a college coach to the NFL, Lincoln Riley. I mean, you talk about the success that he's had at Oklahoma with all of his quarterbacks, pairing back up with Baker Mayfield. I think he'd figure that out big time. But what do you think? What do you think about that?
Lincoln Riley, I think that's a good point. He's obviously familiar with Baker Mayfield, and clearly they need. Like I said, I think the biggest issue is the offense, and they just need an identity. So Kitchens, I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but I think there's a good shot, and I wouldn't be against firing him. And Lincoln Riley, I think, is the best option. However, I've heard his name like brought up a bunch, and I don't think the Browns are going to be the best job to take. So I think if Lincoln Riley takes a job, it'll be somewhere else. I really do.
Sure. Yeah, it's just kind of frustrating. I mean, it's just if I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns, like I would just be like, well, that's great. We have one of the worst teams in NFL history a few years ago. We're on the upswing. We're projected to potentially, win the division and maybe make some noise in the playoffs. And now we're talking we might not even make the playoffs or finish 500. They're 6-7 right now. Obviously, there's still some games left. So, I mean, things could change. Personally, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but we'll have to see.
I think they played the Bengals the last week, so that should be a win.
It should, unless the Red Rocket Andy Dalton is out there firing touchdown passes left and right. We can move on to another disappointing team, maybe a disappointing coach, Jason Garrett. I mean, come on, the Dallas Cowboys. I think no matter how much you hate the Cowboys, how much you don't like their fans, whatever, you can't deny the fact that their roster right now is a Super Bowl roster. Like you have some of probably the best offensive line in the game, one of if not the best running back in the game. You get an extremely solid quarterback, and Dak Prescott. The wide receiver core is not too bad. On the defensive side of things, I mean, Leighton Vander Esch is just an absolute boss, and they also have other pretty solid guys too.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah, Jalen Smith. But like, in your opinion, number one, this is the first question I'm going to ask you. Do you think Jason Garrett is the Dallas Cowboys head coach at the end of the season?
Do I think he should be? Absolutely not. Do I think he is? I'm on the fence. As obvious as I think it is that he should be fired, he should have been fired 3 years ago, and Jerry Jones didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say yes, but I am not that confident because I seriously, it's whatever the reason is, Jerry Jones just doesn't want to get rid of him. I don't know if it's just because he was a quarterback for him, and I don't know, but
yeah, my take on that.
I'm gonna say he'll get fired though, but I'm not very confident.
My take on that is I think the reason why he hasn't got rid of him is Jason Garrett's a yes man. You know, Jerry Jones, everyone knows, like the guy has a high ego. He wants to be in control of everything. Kind of reminds me of Al Davis with the Oakland Raiders, with how much say he had in everything. Jerry Jones kind of on the same route. I mean, you know, Jimmy Johnson, one of the better coaches in the NFL history, you know, won a few Super Bowls for him, but he gets rid of him. Why? Because he wants complete and total power. And Jason Garrett's going to let him have that. You know, Jason Garrett is nothing more than a, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. You know, do whatever you want, Jerry. But in my opinion, I think the absolute only way Jason Garrett keeps his job is if Dallas wins a Super Bowl. I think anything less than Dallas winning a Super Bowl, I would get rid of him. Obviously, I'm not Jerry Jones, but
I mean, I think if they make it, he'll be fine, but I don't think that's going to happen.
See, I think they have to win it. I mean, they have a phenomenal roster.
I picked them to make the Super. I picked them to lose the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, and then they were 3-0, and I was confident about it, and all of a sudden, just the wheels fell off.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no denying that roster is really good.
Oh, it's a heck of a roster. I mean, that's an unbelievable roster, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a big Jason Garrett guy. A lot of people aren't a big Jason Garrett guy. I don't even know. Like, if you were to ask just random, 100 random people that knew a little bit about football, enough to know, coaches and stuff, if Jason Garrett should be a head coach, I would be willing to bet that all 100 of them will say no, he shouldn't be. He's just not a good coach. I mean, I don't know.
Agreed.
Maybe the only people that would say he should be the coach is his family. But obviously,
what they should do is fire Garrett and give the most amazing pitch ever to Tony Romo to be their next head coach.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. That's what I would do. But Tony Romo's my boy. I've always been a Tony Romo guy.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I always thought he kind of got a bad short end of the stick a lot of the times.
I agree. I mean, yeah, he kind of struggled in the playoffs at times in the big games, but he's the big reason why they were there in the first place. So.
Absolutely. Another name I've heard too is Kellen Moore, their offensive coordinator, a quarterback from Boise State. I've heard some phenomenal things about him. That guy's just a great offensive mind. Very
he's
young.
what? Isn't he 28?
Yeah, he looks like he's about 15.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think that'll definitely be if they get rid of Jason Garrett, I think that's going to be a pretty prestigious job that a lot of different people are going to want to try for. We'll have to see where that goes. So, yeah, now I guess we can move on to NBA. Sorry for those NBA folks. We don't have a lot to talk about with the NBA. But that's too bad. You're going to have to deal with it. Luka Doncic. I mean, this guy, obviously a phenomenal player last year in his rookie season, even doing better this year. I mean, when he was – I remember, I'm sure you probably remember this too. when he was first getting interviewed, and they kind of talked to him about like, oh, the difference between the Euro League and this, and he's like, well, it's easier to score in the NBA, and like I was just when he said that, I was just kind of like, what? Like I don't believe that at all. But like watching him play, it just seems so easy for him. Like it does not seem like he's struggling out there to try and get buckets.
Yeah.
Um, but Luka Doncic MVP, can you get behind that train?
I was as of now, a week ago I was on Doncic. Right now, I think let's just say like a percentage wise, I'd be like 52-48 Giannis. I think Giannis just barely above Doncic right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been on the Doncic train like darn near since the beginning of the season. I
Yeah.
mean, that guy's just amazing. See, being a Laker fan, I watched the Laker and Mavericks game the first time. It was like I think it was like November, or it was like the sixth game of the year or something like that. It's like one of the best regular season games I've seen like ever, because it was Doncic versus LeBron pretty much. It was the best games each of them probably played all year, and they just went back and forth, went to overtime, and it was amazing. And I just think LeBron's one of the best players you've ever seen, and he's been in the league how long? Doncic is 20 years old, and he was
Yeah.
just matching him. And LeBron's probably got more talent around him. Like Doncic is just what he's done at 20 years old is amazing. What he's done regardless of his age is amazing, and he's only 20. It just baffles me how good this guy might be in 3 or 4 years.
That's an interesting topic too. I was watching some NBA show. I don't remember which one it was, but they were kind of talking about like it's pretty dang impossible to try and find like the next LeBron because he's a
Yeah.
generational talent. People are saying the same thing about Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna be the next Michael Jordan? Who's gonna be the next Magic Johnson? And like I'm by no means am I comparing Luka Doncic to LeBron James at all. So don't get me wrong, but I think if there is a player that like potentially you give him enough time. I mean, obviously LeBron's been in the league for 17 years now.
Yeah.
This is Luka's second year, but like if he keeps going on this path that he's going on, you, I mean, I'm not like I said. I'm a huge LeBron guy. LeBron is one of my favorite players of all time. But
Yeah.
like, you could make an argument that Luka Doncic could potentially be on the same career path that LeBron James has been on. What do you
Well,
think about that?
Shannon Sharp, for instance, he's a huge LeBron guy, as
Yeah.
am I. And I believe Shannon Sharp said Doncic is better now than what LeBron was when he was 20. And I think I agree. I'm not saying he will be better than LeBron. I'm not saying he
Yeah.
won't either. But as of right now, him at 20 compared to LeBron at 20, I think Doncic is better. And the one thing LeBron wasn't very good at 20 was shooting. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. And
Yeah.
Doncic is definitely better at shooting right now than LeBron was at that age. His step back three is just filthy. It's oh god, it's good.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think at this age, Luka Doncic definitely, compared to LeBron at that age, skill wise, I think definitely has more in his bag than LeBron did at that time. Um, this is
So would
kind
you
of what was that?
so would you give him MVP if the season ended like as of right now? Do you think he's MVP?
I would. I think a big thing also that you got to look at is record wise too. I mean, he's
Yeah.
leading a Dallas Mavericks squad in the Western Conference. I think where are they, a 3 seed right now, four
Yeah, they're
seed.
17-7.
I mean, that's unbelievable. To
Yeah.
to to pretty much put an entire franchise on the shoulders of a 20-year-old is just it's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if the season were to end today, I'm giving it to Luca.
I was Luca for the last like 2 or 3 weeks now. I think being that the Bucks are on a 17-game winning streak and Giannis's stats are incredible, and I was looking on my ESPN. I always look through the game scores and stats, and I think Giannis is first in efficiency and
Okay.
Doncic is second. I think,
Okay. Okay.
and I mean, not that tells the whole story, but I think this is going to be one of the better MVP races we've had in a very long time, especially considering LeBron could easily win it right now, and Harden, he's averaging 39 a game. So
Hmm.
I think it's definitely really close. And although it is an individual award, between those four guys I mentioned, whoever's team finishes best is definitely going to have a big impact. And
Yeah.
then, like, if the Mavericks, I mean, obviously the Mavericks aren't going to finish where the Bucks and Lakers are, but if the Mavericks can finish top three, I think Doncic might win it.
I agree 100%. I think, the record definitely plays a huge part into it.
Yeah.
But like you said, with what Luka's been doing now, if he is continuing to put up the same numbers and his team is having the same amount of success that they are now versus the end of the season, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you have to give it to him. Giannis, don't get me wrong. So I'm sure there's people listening to this saying I'm just bashing Giannis. That is not the case at all. Giannis is an absolutely unbelievable player, and he 100% should be considered for another MVP award. The big factor is you got to look at the conferences that they play in, which I hate to do that, but in this factor, I think you have to. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Bucks, you still got to play the schedule ahead of you, okay?
Yeah.
Still got to play the schedule ahead of you. But the Bucks are supposed to be a good team, and Giannis is kind of the reason why they are that good team.
Yeah.
But I don't think at the beginning of the year anyone would have thought maybe Dallas would have some success, but not as good as they're playing now. So I think if the Bucks finish with the 1 seed, and the Mavericks make the playoffs as a 5 seed, I think you still give it to Luka.
Yeah, like I said, it'll be really interesting to see. What I'm looking forward to in the next week, I think it's within the next 6 to 10 days, the Bucks play the Mavericks and the Bucks play the Lakers. I think back-to-back games. And in my opinion, the 1, 2, 3 candidates are Giannis, LeBron, and Doncic. So they're all going to get to go up against each other. And LeBron and Doncic have already played twice. They play each other 2 more times in the next month, I think. So there's going to be a lot of head-to-heads between them coming up, and it's going to be exciting.
I got to make sure to record those games. Yeah. Well, sorry, folks. That's all we have for NBA talk. Not, I guess, really a whole lot going on right now. But we're going to move on to some baseball. We don't get to talk a lot about baseball during this time of the year because normally, I guess, comparison to last year, there's not a lot going on at this point. But let me tell you, this hot stove is absolutely on fire right now.
Yeah. Personally, I'd like to say I'm glad some free agents are actually signing before the first week of the regular season for once. I really hope we don't see a Keuchel and Kimbrel thing again this year because that's just stupid.
Yeah.
But, this hot stove is crazy right now.
So I guess we'll just start off. Probably one of the lesser ones. Padres trading Jerks and Profar. Oh, sorry, they acquire Jerks and Profar from the A's. Profar's kind of been a guy who's had some potential early on in his career, but he never is really broken out. The guy is regarded to be one of the better prospects in the game.
He was at one point, I think.
He was, yeah, he definitely was at the top. But obviously he's kind of had that title to him the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But he hasn't really performed yet. Padres, what do you think about this?
At the end of the day, I don't think it's a huge deal just because I don't think Jerks and Profar is this guy who's going to put you over the top.
Right.
But the Padres are a team who have been fairly busy in the last year or two with free agents and trades, and there's talks to do a lot more yet. And Profar is definitely a good addition. He did have despite a terrible batting average last year, he had a positive WAR, I believe, and 20 home runs he hit. And the biggest thing about him, he can play everywhere. And especially now being in the National League where you got double switches and all this stuff all the time, that's essential. That's really important. So it's definitely a good addition for them. I don't think the A's will really miss him that much.
Yeah.
But I think the Padres, it's definitely, I don't think it's ever bad to acquire a guy like Jerks and Profar.
No, I agree. It's not going to be your lighting up big trade of the off season, but at the end of the day, kind of a new change of scenery. Try something out. I'll be able to watch him a lot, being in the same division of them. So I'll give you an end of the season review on how Jerks and Profar does.
All right.
So now we can go on to some signings here. Mike Moustakas, this is one of the first big ones, signed a 4-year, $64 million deal with the Cincinnati Reds. Played with Milwaukee the past couple of seasons, and then his career with Kansas City as well. Hit 254 last year, 35 home runs, 87 driven in, had an 845 OPS. If you're the Reds, I think this is a great deal. This is a team that, offensively has definitely had their struggles the last few years. And getting a guy that's got 30 plus home run power in his bat, he's not going to hit for a high average, but he's going to drive in runs. I think this is a great deal for the Reds.
I agree. This is a bargain, honestly. 16 mil a year for Moustakas in today's market, that's a steal. He's only 30 years old. I mean, baseball, your prime is like 5 years long, I mean, he's got a lot of good years left yet. And like you said, the Reds offense has struggled the last couple of years. I think they were like top 5 this year in runs allowed, but they weren't very good because they just couldn't score. Now they do hit a lot of home runs. Now they're going to hit even more home runs with Moustakas. But like Suarez, he hit 40 some home runs last year, I think. Now, and he's a righty. Now they're going to put Moustakas in there, potentially back to back. You got righty lefty. Moustakas can play second and third. I think it's a great signing. Plus, did they sign Grandal, or was it the White Sox?
That was the White Sox.
Okay, never mind. There was talks about the Reds signing Grandal, but yeah, you're right. The White Sox did. But the Reds. I mean, I like this acquisition, and I think the Reds could be a surprise team next year.
I'm not going to get too high on the Reds potentially being a surprise team. Like I said, I think they're definitely going to be better than they were last year.
Yeah.
But they're definitely in the right direction. I mean, they need help. They need a lot of help in a lot of different aspects of their game. But Moustakas definitely is going to help with that big time. Nice kind of middle of the order bat. And the guy plays pretty solid defense too. That's another thing that kind of gets lost.
From second and third as well.
Yeah, so definitely have that versatility to kind of play him where you need him to is big time. Cole Hamels, 1 year, $18 million deal to the Atlanta Braves. I had a little bit of an injury bug last year, but still not too bad stats. 7-7, 381 ERA, 143 strikeouts. If you're Atlanta, a very young team that obviously made the playoffs last year, surprised a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think having a veteran guy, having a guy that's kind of been around it, has been and pitched in big games before, I think this is a solid signing for the Braves. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up the whole big game thing because, I mean, I didn't even think about that. I mean, this guy's, I think he was a former World Series MVP. Yeah. And Atlanta's a team where are going to have World Series aspirations. I mean, they've won the division the last 2 years. They got a young team, which means they should be even better now. And Mike Soroka is their ace, and he's like 23. I don't know how old he is, but he's young. And Hamels may be able to help him out. And Hamels, I mean, all I pretty much just mentioned is, he should help the young guys, and he's got experience. But I mean, his stats are still pretty darn good. I mean, he had a heck of the year last year. I mean, he had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. If he's able to kind of take some of these younger pitchers under his wing and just kind of show them the ropes. Obviously, they already have some success, but I guess kind of have this longevity in his career that Cole Hamels has had. That's the thing with Cole Hamels is kind of besides last year, he's normally a guy that's pretty healthy throughout his career.
He threw 141 2/3 innings last year. I mean, that's not the 200 you shoot for, but even last year, with little injuries, he still managed to get 140 plus.
Which definitely at a pitcher that age to get 140 plus innings, I think you'll take that any day of the week. And especially, like you said, decent numbers too.
And with Atlanta's offense, he's not all you need out of him is 6 quality innings. He should be able to get you that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree for sure. Well, we have another NL East signing here. This one, Zach Wheeler, 5 years, $100 million to the Phillies. I don't think Zach Wheeler is a bad pitcher by any means. Obviously, when you're pitching behind Syndergaard and DeGrom, with the Mets, you're not going to get as much recognition. But I just feel a guy that has been average, has shown signs to be very good, but has also had a lot of struggles. I feel to give out $100 million to him, I think that was too much.
I think I read he's thrown the least amount of innings ever for a guy who's gotten $100 million given to him. Okay. Now, personally, with the money in a league without salary cap, at the end of the day, as long as your owner is willing to pay it, I don't think the money is a huge deal because there's no limit. There's not a limit that you can't go over. So as long as you're willing to give out the money, like whatever. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of money for a guy who's really not proven himself. And the thing that kind of worries me, he's 28, which he's plenty young yet, but he seems like he should be like 23. But he's 28 because he's had such injury problems, and it's like, do you really trust he's going to stay healthy? So I don't know. But after saying all this, the Twins were in talks with Wheeler, and I wanted him. So I mean,
for sure.
I think for a team like the Phillies, who are in probably a pretty competitive division this next year, I think it's a good addition.
Don't get me wrong. Like I certainly, like you said, I would have loved to have him on the Rockies. Would I have given him $100 million? No. I think I probably would have done something in the ballpark of, 4 years, $50 million maybe. That's probably about the most I would go for that. But what do I know?
What's up with the Phillies signing all these NL East players? They get Harper last year, and it's like they're just taking it. It's like they think the way to beat their rivals or just take their players, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting point too. You see, like in the past, like rivalries and like loyalty was huge.
Yeah.
Like, you would never see, if this was 10, 15 years ago, you would never have seen a caliber talent like Bryce Harper leave a team to go to a team in the exact same division who's a rival of that team. But like now in sports, I almost feel it's just a norm. Like I feel like, money talks, and a lot of times I don't feel that like winning is necessarily the biggest factor. I feel whoever is just offering the most money, a lot of times the players bite on that. But I know that's an interesting point though about the whole loyalty thing. It definitely is not a thing anymore.
And to be honest, I'm glad it isn't, because at the end of the day, if you play for a team, show that team respect and be thankful, they wanted you. But if you leave, if it's your time to leave, I don't blame you for go wherever you want. If you're a Yankee and you want to go sign with the Red Sox, I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you? At the end of the day, you're the one playing. It's your job. Go where you want. And I love it. Bryce Harper playing against the Nationals, 6 series a year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, I agree with you too. I definitely think you got to go with what suits you best, with your best capable. And I would like to think, and I'm not just trying to bash players a whole lot of the time. Obviously, I think money definitely is a huge part. But at the end of the day, I think these players do want to win. Kind of sucks for Bryce Harper. I mean, his team wasn't getting it done, and then wins the World Series the year after he leaves.
That's time for a different day, but I do think Harper, yes, he's good, but I think he's about the most overrated player in baseball.
You could certainly that definitely is a strong argument you can make. That'll be a segment one of these times. I just got to start writing down these segments that we come up with like in the middle of the podcast, because I feel we've had like 4 or 5 of them already.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I agree. I think it's exciting to see, like what if a Derek Jeter would have left the Yankees to go play for the Red Sox? Like how pissed the Yankees fans would be, and vice versa for other teams.
Mm-hmm. I will say back to the Wheeler, I'm interested. I haven't looked. I'm interested in what his I want to see his splits and what his stats were against the NL East specifically. Because obviously, if let's say he stays healthy a whole year, he's getting what? Probably almost half his starts against the NL East. So I want to see what they are. Maybe if they're really good against his own division, that's probably a huge reason the Phillies went after him.
True. That's actually a very good point. I'll have to do something.
I actually have not looked at his splits yet. I just know his, for the year, he did good last year overall.
Yeah. Well, I know if he's going to be now pitching against the Mets how many times a year, that with one of the worst offenses in baseball, I'm sure that's only going to help his career, right, for sure. We can move on to another re-signing, I guess. Steven Strasburg, back to the Nats. 7-year, $245 million deal. Finished last year, 18-6 record, 3.32 ERA, 251 strikeouts, and was absolutely lights out in the postseason. I mean, this guy had an unbelievable pitching.
World Series MVP.
World Series, I mean, for a great reason. I mean, the guy was...
I do think Soto should have got it, but obviously he was deserving too. I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
Um, so this one, I was not right on this one. I thought for sure they were going to keep Rendon, get rid of Strasburg. Um, Boy, was I wrong. Well,
Well,
so I guess Nationals. What do you think about this?
we'll see. I can't pick a football game right, but I did pick where Steven Strasburg is going.
You did, yeah. I'll give you that one. Good,
And I
good.
did say they wouldn't sign both, and Rendon left. So I guess I know something, anyways.
Yeah, I suppose we'll keep you around for another week.
We'll see how the others turn out to determine my fate. But obviously, this is a good signing. I mean, the dude just won World Series MVP. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's 30 years old. I mean, I don't care what money you give him. It's obviously a good deal, and I'm I'm glad he went back.
Me too. I definitely didn't think when he had opted out of his last contract that he had with the Nationals. It didn't cross my mind that, well, maybe he was just doing that to get more money from the Nats. I thought for sure it was like, well, I'm opting out of this deal. I've got a lot of money left on the table. I just won a World Series. I'm going somewhere else to see what I can try. But I think this is huge for the Nationals. Obviously, you know, pitching is what's gonna win you a lot of games. Pitching
Especially
staff,
come playoff time.
especially in playoff time. Um, Pitching staffs more often than not can carry an average to not very good offense. Just kind of look at the Giants when they were kind of going on their run. Their offense was
Yep.
not good. I mean, they were only scoring what 1, 2, 3 runs a game, but they had a lights out pitching staff and bullpen that just kind of carried them. They only had
Yeah.
to score a couple runs.
I
Uh,
think baseball. Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
baseball
no,
in general. The one thing I just love about Major League Baseball is the regular season and postseason is so much different. The postseason is always a little bit different, but like baseball is it's just so much different because starters will go 2 innings sometimes. The regular season they almost always go 3, 4, 5 innings, even if they're getting rocked because they don't want to use
yeah,
their bullpen up. And I've
yep,
noticed baseball overall, I say pitching. I'd rather have a solid pitching team than a solid hitting team. But definitely come playoff time, it seems like what wins you playoff games is timely hitting
mm-hmm,
and good pitching. And the
yeah,
Nationals, look, they're a World Series MVP with Strasburg. They and now they're going to have him for probably the rest of his career, and that's I mean that's a good pitcher to have at the top of your rotation for the next 5 years.
absolutely. I agree 100%. You hit it right on the nail there. Um, in the postseason, how many times do you hear, oh, well, this guy pitched game one, but because this is such an important game, let's pitch him again for game six,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the regular season, you can throw your average to not very good guy out there and kind of see what he does. If he's getting rocked, I mean, you'll take him out after a while. But I mean, you're exactly right. I remember in the playoffs, I think this is when Joe Madden was still at the Rays. I remember Alex Cobb was pitching in a playoff game, was doing terrible. I think he only went like 2 innings because he had walked like four people, walked the bases loaded, and then he pulled him. He pulled him after like an inning in the third or 2 innings. And
Mm-hmm.
a regular season, he's probably going to let him try and get out of that.
Yeah.
But I agree 100%. I think postseason pitching is such a valuable thing to have. Um,
That's why I want the Baumgartner. That's why I want the Twins to get him so bad. I
mhm.
know, he's not what he was 4 years ago, but playoff time, that's what matters. And some guys. I mean, I think sometimes it's just random, but some guys are just good at pitching in the postseason. It's just the way it is. Like
Mhm.
Masahiro Tanaka. He's a great postseason pitcher. His ERA is outstanding. And regular season, he's kind of up and down. Some guys just know how to get it done in the playoffs, and Strasburg's that guy. Plus, the Nationals, their other ace is obviously Scherzer.
Yep.
Strasburg's been far better than him in the playoffs, and Scherzer's quite a bit older than Strasburg. So getting Strasburg is essential because Scherzer's not going to be Scherzer for that much longer.
And also look at it this way too. Patrick Corbin, a guy that a lot of people forget sometimes. I mean, this
Oh
guy's a
yeah,
very great young pitcher too.
yeah. I mean,
To
he
still have
must
both
have
of them,
done
that's great.
great. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I kind of just going on the other end of the spectrum with the postseason success. I mean, probably the biggest example, Clayton Kershaw. Guy's
Yep.
probably arguably you could probably make an argument, probably the best regular season pitcher that we've probably seen in our generation.
Yep.
Um, but come playoff time, like where is he? He doesn't show up.
Yeah. David Price as well. Obviously, Price isn't the pitcher Kershaw is, but he's good. And come
Yeah.
playoff time, he hasn't been that great. Now, 2 years ago, he was actually pretty decent in the playoffs, and the Red Sox won the World Series. So
Verlander too.
Yeah.
Terrible postseason. He is not good.
Yeah. I think the World Series, he's never won a World Series game, right? Like,
no,
he's never actually got the win, and I think he's pitched like 6-7 games in the World Series.
I think you're right. He's
been to 3 of
them. Yeah, but we can move on from Strasburg now. Move on to probably the biggest free agent name this offseason, if you wanted to make that argument. Garrett Cole to the Yankees. I don't think this one was a huge surprise to a lot of people.
You picked that right, correct?
I did, yeah. I did pick that one right. So I guess we'll keep me on for another week, too.
I said he would stay, so I was wrong with that.
But Garrett Cole to the Yankees, 9 years, $345 million deal. 20-5, 250 ERA, 326 strikeouts. I guess this is my only question to you. Don't get me wrong, we both raised as a good signing. But 9 years, I mean, to me, for a guy that's, 29, 30 years old, I think he's 29, is he going to be the same pitcher now than he was come 9 years from now if the Yankees decide to keep him that long?
No. However, I really don't care. Okay. I'll explain. I actually had this talk with somebody the other day. And see, my thing is, yes, you give him a 9-year deal. He's 28. So let's say 6 years into that deal, he's 34. That's when he's probably going to start declining. Is he going to be worth this money so you're going to be paying him for probably 4. You're going to be overpaying him for probably 4 of those 9 years.
Uh-huh.
But I'm willing to overpay a guy 4 years for the first 5 years of that deal. If yes, you probably only want him for 5 or 6 years. But if you have to give him 9 in order to get him and overpay him for 4, I'm totally willing to do that because that means you're getting 5 amazing years out of him before that. And I think it's likely the Yankees are going to win 1 or 2 World Series between the time he's there. And in my opinion, that's totally worth it then.
But see, if you only if you only expect to have 5 really solid seasons from him, then why not sign him to a 5 or 6 year deal instead of a 9 year deal?
Because I don't think he would have taken it because I think somebody else would have gave it to him. Now, you could just say whoever else would potentially give it to him, then why would you do it? But I think at the end of the day, the way you get him is to give him that long-term deal. And if you don't do it, he's going to find somebody else who will. So, and I don't know obviously I don't know what the Houston offered him or what the Angels, I'm guessing the Angels offered him something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Yankees, they had the money to pay him and they realized, 9 years from now, is he going to be great? No. But I think they're just counting on 5 good years from him and realize that's what they have to do. And also, to me, like I said, I'm totally willing to overpay a guy for 3 years if it means I'm going to get him at his greatest for 6.
Well, it's okay. So my next question off of that then, $345 million. So I'm assuming, I guess I already know your answer based off what you've been saying so far. But do you think that's too much for a starting pitcher, 345?
I do not. Well, see, the unfortunate part is I think Major League Baseball has got to have a salary cap. I think every sport should, and they just don't. So yeah. I think in terms of contracts, I think differently when we're talking MLB as opposed to NFL, because at the end of the day, when there's not a set limit that you can't go over, you can pretty much spend whatever you want. At the end of the day, if you have the money, then just go pay the guy. That's how I think. If the owner's willing to go get him, go get him. I don't care because there's not a certain amount you can't go over. It's not like signing Cole means you can't sign some other good hitter now. So to me, the contracts, you definitely have way more leeway in baseball, in my opinion. But even with that out of the window, Cole had the best season we've seen in maybe a decade for a pitcher.
Yeah.
Maybe Greinke 2 or 3 years ago when he had a 1.6 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Cole is worth. I would have gave Cole $400 million. I seriously would have.
Wow.
The guy is so good. The one thing I will say, I'm just slightly worried that in Pittsburgh he was good, but he wasn't great, and then he came to Houston and he's great. And he's not the only pitcher that's happened to. Charlie Morton went to Houston and he was great. Ryan Presley was a terrible reliever for the Twins. He goes to Houston and all of a sudden he was great. So clearly Houston's got some sort of special sauce with their pitching coaches over there.
So they got Michael's secret stuff.
So if they leave, maybe there'll be a little bit of decline being that he's not in Houston. But whatever they taught him, he still knows. So I think he's going to be great. And I would have gave that guy, I would have backed up the Brinks trucks for him.
So what is that like how much, like if you're the GM of the Yankees, like, and you're trying to construct this deal, if you're Brian Cashman, what is the top dollar that you would have given Cole before it starts to get unbelievably high?
I would have said, my name's Brian. How much cash you want, man? Whatever Cole asked for, I would have gave it to him. Like, I mean, $500 million, maybe not, but like, let's say, so it's what there's probably going to be anywhere from 7 to 9 that he wanted.
Yeah,
$40 million a year for 9 years would be 360. That's, I mean, now that I say that, I mean that's insane. But considering when we're talking, if we're talking Rays, it's a different story. But when you're talking Yankees and they got the money to do it, I would have gave him $40 million or I would have given him $350 million for the 9 years. What did he get again?
He got 345.
Okay, yeah, I would have done that. I would have been all for that.
So you would have given him 350. That would have been your max.
I mean, I'd go a little bit over probably, but not. I mean, I'm not going to give the guy like 500 million or 400 plus million. That's a little egregious considering I don't think anybody else is going to offer him anywhere close to that. But at the end of the day, the Yankees have the money to give, and they're one of the best offenses in baseball. And Garrett Cole is probably going to make them the World Series favorites now. So when you put that in perspective, it's like we got to get this guy. You can't miss him. So whatever he wants, give it to him.
In my opinion, I just think giving out that much money to a player, I think it has to be a position player. In my opinion, and I know that's not not a very popular opinion, but it's just like you figure he's only going to be playing in the regular season, what, 35 36,
to 40 times.
35 to 40 games a year.
Yeah.
And obviously you're going to bank. Obviously, you got your playoff games too if you want to throw that in there too. But it's just so much money for a guy that plays in what, a fifth of every team's games.
Mm-hmm. Which, and I know you said it's not a popular opinion. However, I have heard that most people think unless you're a position player, you shouldn't get that because a position player plays potentially 162 games a year, whereas a pitcher's throwing every fifth game.
Right.
However, the Yankees, even without Cole, are going to make the playoffs probably. And when you're talking playoffs, Cole's going to pitch. He's going to start 2 of every 5-game series, probably 3 games in a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
So that percentage is a lot more. And to me, that's what you're paying the guy for. You're not paying. I mean, obviously you're paying him for regular season and postseason, but like you're thinking big picture. We want him as our ace in the World Series. If the Yankees. They went to 7 with Houston, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to think if they had Cole and the Astros didn't, I think the Yankees clearly would have won that series. So at the end of the day, they're just thinking, who do we want? If Garrett Cole is our ace in the World Series, or in the playoffs, we have a very, very, very good chance of making it and winning the World Series. And yes, he's not going to give us 162 games in regular season because he's a pitcher, but come playoff time, he's going to start 35% of our games, and we're gonna win almost all of them. He pitches most likely, so I think it's worth it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. We'll definitely have to see. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think the Yankees needed to sign him. Like you want him on your team. I agree with you 100% with that. Money wise, whatever. But I think this is definitely a good signing for the Yankees for sure. I mean, he had to get him. And I guess the most recent free agent signing surprised the heck out of me. I did not see this one coming at all. Anthony Rendon to the Angels, 7-year deal, $245 million. Last year hit 319, 34 home runs, 126 RBIs. Also in the postseason, he played great too. And the guy plays Gold Glove defense as well.
He's probably the best third baseman in the league defensively besides Arenado.
Well, thank you for the besides Arenado. I was about to go off on you.
I knew I didn't say that. Which yes, it's clearly Arenado, and then Chapman's really good too. But Rendon's a heck of a glove at third base too.
So I guess, did you when we were making our predictions?
I believe I said Phillies for him.
I think you said the Phillies or what? Some East team. Yeah. I had him staying with the Angels, with the Nationals.
Yeah.
How surprised were you that the Angels were the team that Rendon decided to go to?
I was surprised because I did not expect that. Like I said, I figured the Nationals would want him, but I figured they would get Strasburg so he wouldn't be a National. But I was figuring, you know, probably Braves or Phillies or something. I did not think Angels. Looking back at it, I don't. It's I totally I don't. Looking back at it, I realized it shouldn't have been that much of a surprise because the Angels, or who everybody was talking about, Garrett Cole would go to. I never thought he would, but a lot of people thought Cole was going to go to the Angels. And I think once the Angels missed out on him, they said, "Well, we have to get somebody." So they just said, "Well, screw it, let's go get Anthony Rendon." However, I don't really get it. Like I said, with the whole no salary cap thing in baseball, most of the time I'll say signing a guy like Rendon, signing a guy like Moustakas, it's a good signing because at the end of the day, there's no limit you can't go over. So if you're willing to pay the guy, whatever. But they have Mike Trout, one of the best hit players ever, clearly the best hitter in the game. He's made the playoffs once because they're just not that good and they don't have pitching. So why are you going to go give $245 million to another hitter? Like,
See,
what are they like? That middle of the lineup is going to be amazing, sure, but you still need a pitch.
you do. I see what you're saying. I just think like Mike, like for offensive wise, it was just Mike Trout. You know, some guys would have some flashes every once in a while. Oh, well, this guy's having a solid season. This guy's having a solid season. The only constant was Mike Trout. And like when you have a guy like Mike Trout on your team, you need all the help you can get. In my opinion, I agree. I think do they need pitching? Yeah, absolutely. I think if they would have gotten Garrett Cole, that would have been an amazing signing for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like if they didn't get Cole, like they had to get someone. I don't care if it was pitching, hitting. Mike Trout needs help because, like we said, baseball, you can have the absolute best player to ever play on your team, but if you don't have help around you, you're not going to win. Like it's just plain and simple. You will not win. So I like it. I like that they got Rendon because then Trout does have some help. You know, Otani, don't get me wrong, Otani's a solid player too.
Yeah, he had a
Um,
heck of a year.
you know, Otani's definitely a great player. But I just think you have to get the best available. And right now, the best available was Anthony Rendon. Now, could I potentially see them going after a Madison Bumgarner type? Maybe. I could see it.
Now,
I don't think that's too
if they get
preposterous
him
to
on
think.
top of it, then totally. But to me, although Rendon's clearly the better player between him and Bumgarner, I think for the Angels specifically, Bumgarner would have been better. Because, yes, their offense isn't like Yankee good, but I mean, and Trout's the constant, but I mean, they had Otani, they have Upton, that Fletcher did pretty good. I mean, they have some hitting. Their main problem was starting pitching, and if they don't add one on top of this Rendon signing, I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, I guess Trout and Rendon are still young, and you don't have to win it all this year. You got some years yet after this to improve, but I I don't know. I'm not. I mean, I just don't think Rendon's going to get the Angels to where they want him to. I just don't see it.
But like, he's not going to hurt them at all. Like, he's not.
No, and
Like,
that's why I agree. Like I said, especially in baseball where there's no, bad signings in football are terrible because, like,
yeah,
say Rhodes, for example, in Minnesota, he was a stud, but he's not very good. He sucks this year, and we're paying
yeah,
a bunch of money. And football, like, if you have a bad signing, you literally can't, like, you cannot go out and sign a guy if you reach a salary cap. You can't. Well,
yeah.
Pujols, for instance, with the Angels, a huge contract, has for the most part been a failure for them, and it didn't affect them as in they could still go out and sign Rendon regardless because there's no salary cap. So at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think many signings are that bad in baseball, but
I mean, Josh Hamilton too. I mean,
yeah.
guy barely played for them. Give him a huge deal.
But I mean, obviously, getting a guy like Rendon's a positive. I just don't think, and that middle of the lineup is going to be pretty scary.
Uh-huh.
But I don't. I mean, I still don't think the Angels are going to make the playoffs next year.
I think I agree with you. If they can get a solid pitcher, I think they'll be fine. I wouldn't be too surprised too. Maybe if they're a little bit active in the trade market, if they try and trade for a pitcher too, I could see that being the thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of signings, a lot of big names. So we'll have to try and keep
And
track
there's
because a lot of
some
them are off
there's
the
some big
table.
ones out there yet too. Bumgarner and Donaldson.
Yeah, that's kind of maybe like another point that I just thought of. Do the Nationals try and go after Donaldson?
I think they might. It sounds like everybody's interested in the guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's he's getting up there in age. So I mean, wouldn't. I mean, I don't think you should probably give him a long-term deal. But if you're
No.
ready to win now, definitely. I mean, by all means. I think the National. I don't think they'll go to the Nationals, but I think they'll definitely be in the sweepstakes for him.
Yeah, I think that's. I think the Nationals will be a good fit. I think the Nationals should try and heavily pursue him because that's the thing is you don't like losing Rendon. Like that's huge. Like that is a big hole
Yep.
in your lineup and on the field that you no longer have.
Yep.
Um, I think if you get Donaldson, you don't have to overpay for him. Like you said, you don't have to give him 5, 6, 7 years
You're
for
gonna.
100 plus. You
I
can get
mean,
him for a 2 year, 3 year for 40. I mean,
yeah. And is he as good as Rendon? No. Is he going to
no,
get around as long as Rendon? No. But you're also
no,
going to get him cheaper for Rendon. And the
exactly.
Nationals are still the Nationals with Soto and Strasburg should, assuming they lock up Soto, should be good for quite a while. But their main World Series window is the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, I know they just won one, but their main window to get another one is the next 2 or 3 years because they still have Scherzer, good Scherzer, for probably 2 or 3 years yet.
Yep.
And Donaldson should be good for 2 or 3 years yet. So it would totally be. I mean, they wouldn't be losing much in free agency if they re-signed Strasburg and got Donaldson. I mean, for the
Yeah.
most part, you wouldn't be losing that much.
Right. Um, no, I think that'll be interesting to see where he goes. I mean, I've heard the same thing that pretty much almost every team is interested in Josh Donaldson. So
And that would be another guy jumping from one NL East team to another, and I would love it.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I guess we can move on to now some MLB rumors. You wanted to add this in here, and I'm glad you did. There's kind of been some rumblings. Eddie Rosario's name has been thrown out there in trade rumors. Nolan Arenado's name has been thrown out there in trade rumors. So I guess let me ask you this: which one, if either player were to get dealt, which one is the most likely to happen? Eddie Rosario or Nolan Arenado?
Rosario definitely because I've heard more rumors about Rosario than Arenado, and at the end of the day, Arenado is one of the best players in baseball. I mean, it's unlikely a team who's at least decent is going to trade him. Like I just don't see it happening. But they are talking about it. Whereas Rosario, I don't think he's going to get traded, but it's looking like it's becoming ever more and more likely. And the reason I want to put this in here is because I'm just appalled by this. Like I know the Twins, have plenty of hitting and they need pitching, but don't trade Rosario to do it. Just go sign somebody. Now, I mean, I may be a little biased on this because Rosario has for a long time been my favorite Twin. I love me some Eddie Rosario, but as good as the Twins are hitting wise, their outfield depth is not that great. Kepler, Buxton, Rosario is one of the better outfielders in baseball, both offensively and defensively. But you can't rely on Buxton. I'm sick of relying on Buxton because he's always injured. And Jake Cave was starting in the playoffs for us. So let's say we trade Rosario. Buxton gets injured again, which honestly is like fairly likely. You want Jake Cave and Ari Adrianza starting in left and right field? No, I don't. No. And the Twins, yes, they have Marwin and Polanco who are switch hitters, but the only lefties they have that are decent are Kepler and Rosario. So you'd also be getting rid of one of your better left-handed hitters.
Which in MLB is hard to find. It's hard to find that.
So I'm just totally against it. I mean, if they could get a real good starting pitcher for it, then yeah, but it has to be really good offer. Because I'm just totally against this, in honesty. Plus, the Twins have a lot of good hitters in their farm system, but most of them are infielders. Like Lewis can play outfield and Kirilov can, but I don't think Kirilov's expected to do much more than first and DH in his career. Like, I would be for trading Buxton, not Rosario.
Oh, I 100%.
You can't. As good of a year as Buxton had when he was healthy, what did he do in the playoffs? 0 home runs, 0 RBIs, 0 hits, 0 catches, because he wasn't even in there. Rosario was. So if you're going to trade an outfielder, trade Buxton. I'm totally against it.
I think it would be very dumb if the Twins did get rid of Rosario. The only instance where trading him would be okay is if first off, you cannot get any minor league players from this. Like you have to have players.
Oh yes, yes.
Like you have to have solid, established major league players that didn't just have one or two solid seasons and then have sucked for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have established guys. I'm not saying you got to go out and trade for Clayton Kershaw by any means,
Yeah.
but like you got to get something in return in players who are established right now if you trade Rosario.
Well, I know there's some people who think the Twins might trade for David Price.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if the Red Sox would want Rosario, but I mean, Price is real good. Like I said, if you trade Rosario, you best get something. I mean, you best get a proven starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get why they're even talking about this. I just don't get it. And then on the other end with Arenado, like I don't think. I mean, I highly doubt he get traded, but there was rumors about it, which I just don't understand. Because I mean, yes, the Rockies had a very disappointing year. Sorry to say,
Mm-hmm.
but they did.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like it's not like they're a bottom feeder of baseball that should be selling. You have Arenado, you got Blackman, you got pieces. Like, don't just trade away the one proven player you have. I mean, honestly, when Arenado's all said and done, he might go down as the best third baseman ever. And it's not like he's 35. You know, Arenado's got a lot of years in front of him. Why on earth would you be trading him?
No, I agree 100%. I don't think there's as much traction behind this. The Arenado one, I don't think I don't think it's as likely to happen as if Rosario were to get traded.
Mm-hmm.
But if Nolan Arenado were to get traded, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't know if I'd go to any more Rockies games for a while because it would just be that dumb. Our owners, the Monfords, they care about making money. They don't care as much as they say, oh yeah, we want to win, we want to win. You don't care. You just want to make the most money. What brings in the most fans? Different promotions, whatever. And it's just kind of frustrating because Colorado is always going to be a football town. They're always going to be huge Denver Broncos fans. That's just how it's going to be. But there are a lot of committed Rockies fans too. And it's frustrating because we've seen years wasted of Carlos Gonzalez, years wasted of Troy Tulowitzki, because they didn't care about winning. They didn't go out get top guys. And I'm not saying LeMahieu, exactly. And the list goes on and on. And by no means am I saying you got to go out and give everyone a Garrett Cole-sized contract to bring them in. But, like Moneyball only works to a certain extent. Like, every once in a while, you're going to have to sign big guys. You're going to have to get the big name players. And we've tried in the past. Wade Davis, we got him, has been terrible. Brian Shaw, terrible. Yeah. Ian Desmond, terrible. I mean, it's just frustrating. It's extremely frustrating because I don't want to see a player who Nolan Arenado will probably be without a doubt, the best Rockies player of all time by the end of his career, probably the best third baseman of all time if he keeps going on this route, which I'm assuming he will.
Top 2 or 3, no doubt.
And if you trade Nolan, it's like, well, like now what? Rockies fans are going to be pissed. I'm certainly going to be pissed.
Trade Nolan, might as well trade Blackman.
Exactly. Like, just start over. Like, just if you're going to trade Nolan, just get rid of everybody. Because if you're trading Nolan, you're basically saying like, oh yeah, I don't want to win. Like, I don't care. Yeah. And it is frustrating because we made the playoffs 2 years in a row, 2017, 2018. Granted, yeah, we had a terrible 2019. A lot of players underperformed. And obviously losing DJ, which I still think is one of the worst things that we didn't do in our history's franchise history, is not bringing back DJ. Yeah. But it's just, it's so frustrating to watch this every single year, to have owners that don't care about winning. They just care about making money. Meanwhile, you have teams like the Avalanche and the Nuggets who are top tier in their conferences and in their sports, and they care about winning. And that's just what's frustrating, that the Rockies don't care about winning.
Well, it's dumb. The Twins too. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, Paul, it's your money, whatever. I mean, it's not for me to say, but it's like you have the money to spend, and this year was just set up perfectly for the Twins. They're one of the better lineups in all of baseball.
Yeah,
and they're like 1 or 2 pitchers away from being a very, very, very serious World Series threat. I mean, we won 100 games last year. Yeah. And this year, the hitting market, besides the third baseman, is not very good. The pitching market is one of the best in free agency in the last decade. Mm-hmm. And they're probably going to end up with nobody. It's like, you can't do that. Like, do you want us to cheer for you? because
Yeah,
you're
I
going to lose a
agree.
lot of people. I mean, it was set up perfectly for them this year, and unless they get Bumgarner, they're going to, which I doubt, it's going to be a failure. And
I
I just,
agree. Yep.
yeah,
I agree
I guess
100%.
we can definitely relate in this case.
Oh, for sure. And like the thing that's frustrating too is like, yeah, we had a bad year and everyone's just like kind of throwing us under the table. I mean, for good reason. You know, we were terrible last year, but like we're a season removed from making the playoffs. I mean, Kyle Freeland was absolutely stellar. You know, Herman Marquez was great. We had just John Gray, phenomenal
Yeah.
pitchers. The bullpen was great. And then we got to the playoffs, you know, obviously beat the Cubs in that like 75 inning, you know, wild card game. And then after that, we just got blanked by Milwaukee. Like our pitching was great. I still will hold true to this day that if our hitting was just even a little bit better than it was, I think we beat Milwaukee that series and we're contending to play the Dodgers to go to the World Series that year.
Yeah.
And I'll hold true to that till the day that I die.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. That's one thing we can definitely relate on for sure.
Yeah.
But time to move on to some NHL. Talk about coach firing. Goodness gracious. We've had 5 of them now this season. We already talked about Mike Babcock with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maple Leaves, we have 4 others. I guess we'll just go down the line. Bill Peters from the Calgary Flames resigned. Team had a record of 18, 13, and 4. Number one seat in the playoffs last year until my Avalanche beat them, knocked them out. Having a great season. Well, you're probably wondering, well, at 18, 13, and 4, why are they getting rid of him? Well, it's kind of been coming out. He's kind of had some controversy. He's done and said some not very good things in the past. That's kind of come up to bite him now. And they got rid of him. They got rid of him. So what do you think about that one for Calgary?
It's just weird. It's like, what's going on with hockey now? Babcock now, right now, this situation, and
Mm-hmm.
then Montgomery too. It's not even necessarily the performance of the teams. It's stuff they've said that's getting
Mm-hmm.
them fired, and it's like, what is going on? Like 18, 13, and 4. Like, my gosh, that's 40 points.
Yeah.
Like in 35 games. Like, this is a good squad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know exactly what all went down, but like it better have been serious, because otherwise firing a guy who's had on a team who's done that good so far. I mean, I don't know. Calgary better hope it pays off.
And I guess I should probably be a little more specific. In Bill Peters' case, he resigned. So I would assume it was probably like a forced resignation, like
Yeah,
just resigned.
yeah.
But I'm pretty sure what the issue was is he had said some racial things, some racial slurs back in his, back about 5-10 years ago, and kind of caught up to bite him now because players are coming out and talking about that. So I think that was the biggest thing behind that. And then Jim Montgomery with the Dallas Stars, 18, 11, and 4. Again, it's kind of same thing. They fired him, but they said it was unprofessional conduct, inconsistent with the core values that they had. And this is a very successful team. He made the playoffs last year as his only full season as a coach, and then lost in the second round in Game 7 to the eventual Stanley Cup champs St. Louis Blues. But I think this kind of goes to show that like this is kind of a good thing. A lot of times, I'm sure in the past, people, well, if they said some stuff, they just kind of sweep it under the rug because they're winning, so it doesn't matter. But this is kind of good to show people are doing stuff, saying stuff that aren't very good, and it goes to show it doesn't matter how successful you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're third in the West right now. It's like them and Calgary, and like you said, I mean, the Calgary was a resignation, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't think hardly anybody resigns without threat of firing.
Right.
It's like I just hope for their cases, like the players don't be. I mean, it really depends on the relationship the players have with them. Like if these players have good relationships with these coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets fired after being third in the West, I mean, that's not going to go over well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just weird. Like, you don't see coaches on teams as good getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they've probably done things or said things that are deserving it, but it's just weird, man. I just don't know what's going on right now in NHL.
We also had a couple more ones too. Now these ones were kind of more based off of performance. John Hines from the Devils fired him. He had a record of 9-17-5 this year.
Yeah.
One playoff appearance in 4 years. When they got bounced too, they barely did anything.
And they got like the worst offense in hockey this year. I mean, it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, which I don't get because they have talented players on that roster. Taylor Hall being the big name guy that I'm hoping my Avalanche can try and trade here, make a run to the Stanley Cup. But I mean, absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I mean, you've had talent. It's not like they've had a lack of talent throughout the years. They've had solid players. They haven't been able to do anything with them.
The John Hines case is one firing I can definitely back.
Yeah.
Especially in hockey. Hockey's that one sport where, like, you're an 8 seed and you have a shot. Like, the Kings won it as an 8 seed. There's been other 6, 7, 8 seeds, in the championship, in the finals the last several years. Like, and the Blues, I mean, the most recent and best example, like, they were the worst team in hockey on, I believe, January 3rd last year. Like that. Yeah. And they won the Stanley Cup. Yep. Like, so if you're bad, you don't need to wait till the end of the year to fire your coach. Like, get it done now. And I mean, I'm not saying the Devils are just going to turn their season around and win it, but like, if you with the terrible start they had, it's and this is Hines' 5th year. It's like it was pretty evident with the start he had that he wasn't going to be around next season, so you might as well just get rid of him now.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that one for sure. And then the last one too, Peter DeBoer with the San Jose Sharks. This one, I was actually a little bit surprised with this one. Now, they're underperforming this year. Yeah, they have 15, 17, and 2. But this is a coach that brought this team to 4 playoff appearances, also went to a Stanley Cup.
2 years ago.
They lost to the Penguins. Yeah, I mean, they lost in 6, so it's not like they got swept. Like, it was a good series. Mm-hmm. That one was a little surprising to me. I feel sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, I like with the whole Mike Tomlin thing, just because you win a Super Bowl doesn't mean you should be guaranteed a job for the next 5 or 6 years. But if you're having consistent, like, playoff success, and you're doing good things, then why get rid of him? Like, this is a guy, DeBoer, who last year went to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's not like he's going to the playoffs every year and he's getting swept in the first round. Then that'd be one thing. He's having playoff success. They just haven't been able to get it done, unfortunately. So this one, I'm not a huge fan of. I think they should have given him some more time to turn things around. And obviously, you don't want to wait for something to happen. But, like, I don't know. I feel they should have given him more of a chance there.
Like, I don't know if they think, like, well, Dorton's old now. Our team's getting older. Like, our window's not as big as it once was, and they just want to get rid of him now. But I just, like, and try to salvage this so far disappointing season. But yeah, for the most part, I agree. I don't really understand this one. Like, he's proven year after year he can lead this team to the playoffs. And recently, I mean, I remember a while back they did have postseason struggles, but recently they just made a finals Stanley Cup 2 or 3 years ago. Like, for the most part, I just agree with exactly what you said. I just don't get this one. The Devils, I totally understand that one. I don't get this firing at all.
No, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, am I complaining? No, absolutely not. It's going to help the Avalanche out for sure.
Right.
But, but I mean, yeah, I just think maybe it's time for a change, new culture, new things. So we'll have to see how this goes. Personally, I don't think this is going to end very well for the Sharks. I can't see them, getting rid of a solid coach like DeBoer was. I don't see them turning things around and making the playoffs because they fired him. I think it's going to hurt him even more. But who knows? I've been wrong in the past, so probably.
I know. It's like every coach is getting canned or resigning, and I guess San Jose thought they needed to join the club, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know about that. This is my plea, too. New Jersey Devils, will you trade Taylor Hall to the Avs already, please? I mean, goodness gracious. Like, you've been talking about it. You've been sending them the last couple games. Just trade them to us. And add Joe Sakic. Don't be an idiot and trade the whole farm for him. Like, obviously, you're going to have to get rid of some guys, but don't get rid of everyone. And so I guess that's my application, become the GM of Devils or Avs.
I mean, do you think it's likely? I mean, do you think they got a shot? I mean, are the Devils going to get rid of him, you think?
Well, I think they're definitely going to get rid of him. I think that's for sure going to happen. It's just a matter of what team. Because right now there's about 4 or 5 teams that are all in the mix. I think the Avs are one, Coyotes were one, I think Blues were one.
Of course.
And there's a couple other teams I know that are in on them that I'm not thinking of.
I'll take them to the Avalanche over the Blues. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That'll be interesting to see, though. That'll definitely be a discussion to see where Taylor Hall goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, by this time next week, he's a Colorado Avalanche, but, we'll have to see. Well, now it's everybody's favorite time of the week.
I mean, speak for yourself.
to see how many picks Nick gets wrong. So, folks, for those of you who don't know, the current standings, we've only done it a couple weeks into it last week. I'm currently ahead 29.5 to 22. Now, for those of you who might remember, 29.5, I got that half point, or that 1.5 points because, I got the point spread right and I got the team right. So sorry about it to you, Nick, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
It's all right. I need an undefeated week this week, and then we'll be right back in it.
You need some help, that's for sure. So we'll start with probably the best matchup of the week, Miami Dolphins versus the New York Giants. Who do you got?
Well, see, I had the Patriots people's video tape, both them sidelines, so I could get insight for this game.
Okay, sure.
Just so you know.
Yep, thanks.
Out.
That's fine. You got all the help you can get.
I'm desperate at this point. The Giants are terrible, so not the Giants. That's my pick.
So you're going with my Dolphins, huh?
Yes. I didn't learn my lesson from picking them the first time. We're gonna pick them again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
This is actually kind of like how you were with the Patriots, how like you're never going to pick against them. That's kind of like the opposite I've been with the Dolphins this year. I haven't picked them to win yet. However, that changes this week. I think Miami is going to win. Like you said, the Giants are a terrible team. Barring a Saquon Barkley just absolutely going off and Eli Manning throwing for 700 yards.
I was just going to ask, who's starting? Is it Eli?
I would assume so. I think Daniel Jones is still hurt.
In that case, the Giants might have scored negative points. So, yeah, Dolphins are winning.
First team in NFL history to do that. That's a bold take for sure.
Eli's so garbage. He had a heck of a career, but he's done so.
So Miami, we both got Miami in this one. This one, another great matchup. Patriots, Bengals. Who do we got here? Actually, never mind. I'm going to save your breath. I'm just going to put down New England for both of us, unless you have a absolutely hot take here.
I mean, I hope Joe Mixon just goes off, but I don't think it's going to matter. Who on earth is going to pick the Bengals over the Patriots? Just the haters out there.
Maybe somebody who maybe get lucky and hopefully win a lot of money betting.
Hey, by the way, I just seen Joe Burrow on the Heisman. So.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. I knew that was kind of going on right when we were recording this, but definitely well deserving. I think.
I think it was obvious you had to give it to him. Hurts had a good year, but Burrow definitely.
Next one, Buccaneers, Lions. Who do you got here?
The Bucs. They're actually the Bucs are what 5, 6. I mean, the Bucs aren't that bad, really.
Yeah, they're 6-7 this year.
Yeah, 6-7. I was going to say 5-7, but I'm like, no, that can't be right with math. Yeah, 6-7. I mean, there's a good chance Winston could throw a pick 6 and they'll lose, but the Lions without Stafford are just awful. I mean, I seen them play last week because they played the Lions played the Vikings, and I think they got sacked 5 times. I mean, Kenny Golladay was the only one who could even do anything, and that wasn't until the fourth quarter. I don't know. The Lions are just awful. So I'm taking the Bucs.
I'm going with the Bucs too. It'll probably be like a typical Lions game where they're in it for the whole time and then they somehow blow it at the very end, like they have almost every other game.
Yeah, I think last week was the first time they haven't led darn near all year.
Which is kind of surprising to think, looking at their record.
Right. Yeah.
But this is a solid matchup. This next one, Bears Packers.
I desperately want to say Bears, but the Packers, although I don't think they're anywhere near as good as their 10-3 record, they're still good. And I got to give it to them. They do not lose to the Bears and Lions. I mean, they don't lose the Vikings much either up until recently, but they just take care of business against the Bears and Lions. Those divisional games are desperately needed, and so I'm going to lean with the Packers over the Bears.
I'm also going to go with the Packers as well too. The Packers have always been a team that, for the most part, they've handled their business. When they need to win a game, for the most part, they've won it against a team that they should beat. I suppose I should say.
I can't make any games up if you keep picking the same. Darn it.
Well, sorry about it. I guess maybe that's my strategy for the rest of the year.
Who's Nick gonna pick? Let's pick them.
That's why I have you go first, so I know which one to pick.
There we go.
Texans, Titans. Who do you got here?
Well, we didn't touch on this, but comeback player of the year. I mean, I guess it kind of depends what you look at it, if you think a guy needs to get injured or what. But to me, Tannehill should be comeback player of the year because he lost his starting job and now comes out of nowhere and is 6-1 as a starter. Because Tannehill is the real deal, and that's why I'm taking the Titans.
Yeah,
6-1, 6-1 in his 7 starts. They're second in the league in points per game since he started. I'm taking Tannehill and the Titans.
It's hard for me to pick against my boy Tannehill, just because of how much he meant to Miami. I'm gonna go with the Texans. I think after absolutely getting embarrassed against the Broncos last week, that was bad. Embarrassed against the Broncos, they're gonna kind of be playing pissed off this game, and I think they're gonna come out. Deshaun's gonna light up the scoreboard. I think Tannehill's gonna play well, but I just think the defense for Tennessee isn't gonna be able to hold up. So I'm going to go with the Texans on this one.
I know I just, talked about Tannehill the whole time, but I think what's really going to determine it, if Derrick Henry continues to do what he's been doing the last 4 weeks, Titans will be fine. If the Texans can stop him, then they're in trouble. But although Houston's got a huge chip in the shoulder with getting blown out last week, it's at the end of the day, whoever wins this game is probably going to win the division. So it's not like Tennessee's not going to show up. Both teams are going to bring their best. Mm-hmm. And being that Tennessee's at home and they're playing really good right now, that's why I'm leaning them. But the Texans are a hard to team pick against. So this is a really interesting game. This might honestly be the most important game of the week.
It might be for sure. You got 2 teams 8-5 in that South Division that normally is up for grabs for pretty much anyone. But I'm gonna go with the Texans this one. Next one, Broncos Chiefs. Got a little AFC West rivalry here.
I think Mahomes and the Chiefs are starting to look more and more like last year every week. And the Broncos, they have the potential. Look what they did last week with the Texans, but I don't see them beating Kansas City. However, Kansas City is pretty much got their division locked up. So you could say they might not have that much to play for, but they still have a bye they could get. So they'll show up. And I just don't see Denver being able to beat Kansas City, especially in Arrowhead.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Kansas City as well, too. It's just the Broncos, like you said, played well against Houston, but that was, diamond in the rough. They're not going to play that well again against Kansas City. So I'm going to go with Kansas City on this one.
I do want to see how Drew Lock does against the Kansas City secondary. They're not that great. So, if he does, I think Drew Lock could potentially put up some good numbers and the Broncos could score. I just don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he would be lighting up the scoreboard at all. I think he'll play pretty average.
But I think he could be a pretty decent quarterback, so I'm interested to see what he does here after one good game.
Eagles, Redskins, who you got here?
Oh, man, this division is so awful.
But you should think that this should be an easy pick, but it really isn't.
Being that Washington's eliminated and the Eagles, they darn near need this win because right now Dallas controls the tiebreaker over them. So, if they would lose this and the Cowboys win, they're darn near done, though. So, I'm going to lean Philly just because they need this game. But they are bad. They almost lost. They barely beat the Giants. But I'll go with Philly in an ugly game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Philly, too. I think, granted, they've needed to win for, the last 4 or 5 weeks, it feels like, but they keep getting bailed out by the Cowboys also choking.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Eagles, but I will say this. If the Redskins are able to pull out a win, I'm not going to be surprised. Miami beat the Eagles. Who would have thought Miami was going to beat the Eagles?
Washington's actually played decent the last, 4 weeks.
They have. and my boy Dwayne Haskins is gonna light him up, but I don't think it's
Huh.
enough.
Dwayne
Um,
Haskins. That's funny.
oh God. Okay, Seahawks Panthers.
The Panthers are like, I don't know what it is. Like, apparently the second half of the football season comes around and they're just awful. I think they ended the year in like 7 losses last year, and they were what 5-3, and they've lost like 5 in a row this year. Like
Hmm.
they just, I don't know what happened to them. But Seattle just lost. They desperately can't lose again if they want to win that division. So I'm taking Seattle. I just don't see Carolina being able to compete with them.
I am too. I don't think this one is an incredibly tough one to think about. It's gonna be a barbecue chicken day, as Shaq would say for Russell Wilson. So we're gonna
Be
go
a
with
choke
Seattle.
show.
uh, Jaguars Raiders. Who do you got in this one?
I think I picked the Jaguars like 3 times in a row and they keep losing. Um,
So you're gonna pick them again.
yeah. No. I can I ask? Do you know is Josh Jacobs projected to play?
I would assume so. I
I
would
think
assume he is.
so. I
I'm
think
not
I'm going to take him
100% sure.
regardless, but definitely if Jacobs plays, I'm going to take Oakland because right now Jacksonville's defense is just like what happened to them? They're awful. 2 years ago, they almost made the Super Bowl because of their defense, and they're just bad now. So I'm taking Oakland. It's in Oakland. Oh, and actually, now that you think of it, this is the last game in Oakland like ever for the Raiders.
Yeah,
So they're definitely going to want to come out and play.
I am too. I'm also going to pick Oakland. Sorry, Nick, I'm not giving you a lot to be able to bounce back here, but it was just the
Oh,
pretty
I can't
one-sided
blame you.
matchups. I'm also going to go with Oakland as well too. I think being the last home game is definitely going to be a huge motivation factor.
Mm-hmm.
Brown Browns Cardinals.
Like I said, although I think Jacob should win offensive rookie of the year over Murray, I still think Murray's had a great year, and I think Murray's going to be pretty good. And I because of him, I've given the Cardinals a chance in like every game, but they're still just at that point they just can't seem to get it done. And the Browns, although have been very disappointing, I think they still got a little something to play for. Their offense has struggled, but the best antidote for that is to play the Cardinals, it seems. So I think they might actually finally be able to put up some points, and I think I'm going to take the Browns.
I'm also going with the also going with the Browns too.
Lovely.
Uh, um, it's just Arizona. I mean, Kyler Murray's only gonna be able to do so much. I think I think it'll be a sloppy game. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Baker Mayfield's gonna be lighting up any scoreboards, but I think that he's gonna do just enough to win. So I'm gonna go with the Browns here. Vikings Chargers. Who you got here?
The Vikings are only a point and a half favorite, and I think that's disrespectful. I know they've lost 4 road games, and the Chargers seem to make every game close, but I just I I don't see the Vikings losing. I really don't. I mean, I guess I've made that mistake before, but I think the Vikings are going to take care of business. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win by double digits, but I'm pretty confident the Vikings are going to win tomorrow. Phillip Rivers can't move. Daniil Hunter should get him at least twice.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
All right.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one for a main reason that at the end of games, Rivers has looked terrible. I mean, he has
Yep.
looked so bad. But
Interception.
that is not a bad team. Like you talk about those offensive pieces that they have. You got Melvin
Their
Gordon, Austin
roster's
Eckler,
good.
Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, and then their
Yep.
defense as well too with Joey Bosa, Derwin James. I mean, they have a solid team.
I
Um,
will say, sorry, go ahead. I didn't interrupt you.
no, it's fine. So for that, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they're going to surprise people. I think there is a reason why Minnesota is only favored by a point and a half, and I think it's because the Chargers are going to come ready to play.
I will say they just, I mean, shellacked. Who they play last week? Jaguars. Yeah, they just shellacked the Jaguars last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, right now they're um, on a high road with their offense, and the Vikings secondary has not looked very good. But I just don't see being enough. The thing that more worries me is Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram are maybe the best pass rushing you do in the league. And when the
Mm-hmm.
Vikings do struggle, it's when Cousins is pressured. But they've allowed the least sacks in football the last like 7 weeks. I think most
Mm.
people wouldn't think that. So I'm going to lean Vikings. Like I said, I'm fairly confident.
Well, we'll have to see. Well, you've been fairly confident in the past too, and.
Yeah, I know. True. But we got to make up a game here, so the Vikings got to get it done.
Rams Cowboys.
Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I know I shouldn't, and the Rams finally look like they've figured it out. But if the Cowboys and Jason Garrett want any chance at people getting out their backs, which it won't happen, they gotta show something. And I just think it's going to be. I think this game is going to be a shootout, and I think whoever gets the ball last is going to win. And being that the game is in Dallas, I'm going to go with Dallas.
I'm also going with Dallas on this one.
Alrighty.
I feel that with the Eagles having what should be an easy matchup against Washington,
Yeah.
and like what that could potentially be putting them in the division lead. If the Cowboys lose this game, like that's rough. Like, don't get me wrong, this is definitely a must-win game for the Rams too. Like they need to win as well. But I think right now Dallas has to win because they aren't making a wild card spot. Their best chance to make the playoffs is if they win the division.
That's their only
So
shot. Yeah.
I think they're going to win the game. Like you said, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It could be a last possession game. I'm going to go with Dallas, so I think they're going to come out on top.
I think there's going to be at least 60 points scored in this game. I think both quarterbacks might go for 400 yards. I really think this is going to be an old-fashioned shootout.
Okay, so I'll let you do this then. I'll give you a point. I'll give you another point.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to bank on? Do you want to bank on both quarterbacks having 400 plus yards, or that it being 60 plus points? You can only choose one.
60, because 400 each is. I think there might be 800 combined pass yards, but 400 each. I don't know. I think it's definitely doable, but I think I'll bank the 60. I'll take the 60 points. I think that's going to happen.
Okay, I'm writing that down, folks. So
sweet. I need all the help I can get.
I'm feeling generous today, so I'll give that one to you. Falcons 49ers.
I really want to say upset of the week, but no, I can't. 49ers. I'm not as high in the 49ers as most people are, but I just don't see. I don't see Atlanta being able to beat them. I don't think they're going to blow them out, but I'm taking 49ers.
Sure. I also go with the 49ers too. I think the Falcons will be in it for a little bit, but 49ers are just going to pull away at the end. Bills Steelers. This one's a good game.
This is actually a really good game. I honestly don't know. Let's see. I thought I was going to say Steelers, but Josh Allen's pretty darn good, man. I like Josh Allen, but I'm going to go Steelers. I really don't have any explanation for it. I just think it's going to be real close. I'm just going to go with the home team on this one.
I'm going to go with Buffalo. I think Josh Allen is, like you said, very solid quarterback. Their defense is also very good, too. I think Buffalo's definitely got a very underrated defense at that. Eventually, Devlin Duck Hodges is going to have to, see some firepower going up against them because he's not going to be this successful. The guy's a third-string quarterback for a reason. I think Buffalo's going to expose that, and I think Buffalo's going to win. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I think Buffalo's going to come out on top here.
I will say, although I'm picking Pittsburgh, the fact that Pittsburgh's their strength is getting to the quarterback. They lead the league in sacks all the time, it seems like. And with Allen being able to, he's actually a pretty elusive quarterback. He might be able to avoid that, which doesn't look well for Pittsburgh. But I just think if you can really pressure him and make him a runner, I think they got a shot. Like you said, it's going to be low scoring. There is not going to be many pass yards in this game. So I think James Conner's back. That's going to help. I'm going to lean Pittsburgh, but you might be right on this one. I don't know. This one's close. I really have no idea on this one. This is as unsure as I've been all
year. Colts
Saints. The Colts just have not looked right the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what it is, but they just have not looked good. And at this point, with the Titans and Texans at 8-5, one's for sure going to win this week. The Colts are pretty much done. I'm going to take the Saints.
Yeah, I am also going with the Saints too. I don't think the Colts are going to be much of a matchup for them. I think Drew Brees is going to handle his business here. So that was the Monday night game. So, like, obviously, we're going to fast forward again because when we record our podcast, we're going to get them. There is no Thursday night game, but we have 3 Saturday games.
There's good ones, too, for the most part.
Yep. So the first one, Texans at Buccaneers. Who do you got there?
Buccaneers' rush defense is really good, but their pass defense is horrible. And the Texans are, Deshaun Watson throws for a lot of yards, and he shouldn't have any problem against this defense. So I think the Texans are going to be able to put up a decent amount of points and win. So I'll take Houston.
I'm also going with Houston for all the same reasons that you did.
And Winston will probably throw a pick 6. So.
Of course. There is that. Bills, Patriots.
You know it. Patriots.
Oh, God. Yeah.
They cannot lose that game. So I'm going with New England.
Yeah, well, they also couldn't lose the Baltimore, Houston, or Kansas City game, and look what happened.
Well, I mean, if they lose this one, they might not even win the division, and that ain't gonna sit right with big old Bill over there. So Tom Brady's gonna show you all why he's the Billy Goat, and he's gonna win that game.
I'm also gonna go with New England as well too. I can see the Bills playing with them. I don't think this is.
I think it'll be close.
Definitely was a defensive battle the first time. What was the final score in the first time? Like 17-9 or something like that.
Yeah, it was an ugly game too.
But I'm gonna go with New England as well. I don't see them losing this one. And then the final Saturday game, Rams 49ers.
I think if the Rams lose this week, the Cowboys like we're projecting, it might change things just because they're probably going to be darn near done for at that point, and that does affect how teams play, I think. But regardless, it's a divisional game. Those are always hard to predict. And the Rams do look like they have somewhat figured it out right now. But in San Fran, they're 11-2. That's obviously a huge game for them. I'm going to say San Fran. They should be able to just make Boston horrible.
That's a tough matchup. I'm also going to go with San Francisco, though, as well, too. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if the Rams are able to pull it out, but I think just that defense is going to be too much for how inconsistent Jared Goff is.
I was literally just going to say Goff's been real inconsistent this year, and I expect against a good pass defense like the Niners, he's going to have one of those bad Goff games, and I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I could, like you said, I said in the past, he's a very boomer bust type player. Let's see what happens. Well, that's the end of our show. You have any final points, final thoughts you'd like to bring up, talk about here?
No, I think I'm good.
Alrighty, well, as always, folks, if you want to find us on Twitter, you can find us. I am Lucas_Dorton, capital L, capital D. And Nick, do you remember your Twitter tag there? You want to give it to him? Or do you want me to do that for you?
I think I got it now.
Okay, what is it?
At Duckett.
And you want to spell that for the folks who don't know how to spell the last name?
Doettkott. At Doetkott, if that helps you.
At Doetkott. Nicholas Doetkott. No, yeah, so there's that. Definitely, if you guys have any things you'd like us to talk about, any big points you'd like us to talk about, definitely let us know. Hit us up there. As always, though, we do this for fun, but we want it to kind of get big. And so it would be awesome if you guys could share it, through word of mouth with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever you want to do. Email, fax. I don't know if you can fax it, but hey, if you want to, sure. Just put our link on that paper and send it to someone who you want to. But it's the only way we get big is if people like you like it, share it. And that's how we get Dorton and Doetkott out there. So, like I said, I would like to thank you, Nick, again for not having a back-to-back time off here again.
I think I'm rested enough now. I mean, I don't know. This lower management thing, I like it though. So we'll see. Me and Kawhi, we like that load management.
It works hand in hand together. And coming off of our bye, too, we're in the gauntlets. We got the rest of the season ahead of us. But I am Lucas Dorton. As for Nick Doetkott, aka Nick Duckett.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Dorton and Duckett Debate, and we are out.